Hey Pitmasters, what is up? Today we're going to do a rip test, rip test. So one of the first things that we're going to do is fire up our barbecue. I have some leftover charcoal in there. I cleaned it up a little bit, shaked off the ash. Now we're going to put new charcoal in and set it up to smoke. We'll put in some Kamado Joe Big Block. I'll put in 3 of these fire starters, light them up. When I do a video about smoking meat, I normally use aluminum foil for wrapping. And I get a lot of comments, why don't you use butcher paper? To be honest, I haven't used butcher paper ever, so I haven't tried it. And I think I should be giving it a try before I judge it, right? So today we're going to do a test. We're going to have 3 slabs of ribs. 1 we're going to wrap in aluminum foil, 1 in butcher paper, and 1 without. I got the eye command here as well, and it's kind of like the first time for me. I've never used it before, so it's kind of exciting. Let's install it on the barbecue, set it up, and get it to work. We'll just put in our eye command, and it should be very easy to do. Put in the plug. So our pit is hot. We got our eye command all set up. Fantastic. We're going to put in some smoke wood. Put back the heat deflectors, put on the grill grates, and then start up our eye command again. Look at these beautiful ribs that we got, St. Louis style, giant slabs of ribs with a lot of meat on them. Now, I'm gonna do this the easy way. I got my roll of aluminum foil here. We're gonna put these on. There we go. We'll get the Superlicious barbecue rub and get that on there. Now if you want a heavy coat, you might want to consider putting on some mustard or like an oil, a light oil with a little flavor. Press it on a little bit, make sure it sticks on there. Now we'll flip them around. And we got to take the membrane off on the other side, and then we'll put some rub on it as well. Now that our barbecue is all set up, we got our ribs dusted. We're going to put them on, let them catch a little bit of smoke, rib side down. I got the extender grate, so that's how we're going to put on a 3. We're talking about the Big Joe here. It's got so much space, but with these ribs, we just need more. We'll close the lid, let the eye command do its job. So we'll set the temperature on the barbecue to 225, which is 110 degrees Celsius. We can hear the fan blowing. It's now at 205. So as you can see, the eye command is doing its job. It's producing smoke. The smoke will slow down over time when it's reached the desired temperature. We'll just need to give it a little time, but in the meantime, we don't have to check it. It will be stable for hours and hours. And that's the great thing about this. Also, it's based on Wi-Fi, so I can go to the shop and still have a good readout on my thermometer and know that my pit is in check. One thing that you want to be looking for when you're setting your pit up like this is you want to have your top vent open just the way you would normally do when you set it to 225. So in this case, I'm just going to set it to the first stripe. Normally I have a little bit more close, but we now can have it open because the eye command will control it. The ribs have been on for 2 hours. We're going to take them off and wrap them in foil, butcher paper, and the other one we're just going to leave on. Wow, they look good. We got a nice bit of smoke color on there. Let's get our first slab off, and oh, she's already getting hot. Ooh. Look at that. Juicy, nice bit of color on there as well. I already like the aluminum foil better because it stays in position. Whoop, there we go. Look at that. Now I would normally wrap these ribs with a little bit of butter, maybe sugar, apple juice, just to get that steaming effect going. But the butcher paper is not going to hold all that moisture, and we got the rib there that's going on the grill without any wrapping. So I think it's fair if we just this time, for once, did not put anything into this foil, and we're just going to cook them as they are. So we'll put the tin foil and the butcher paper back on. Now we got to keep our eye on these ribs on top because they are not wrapped and they're probably going to cook much faster. We'll see, we'll see. We smoked our ribs for 2 hours. We've wrapped them for 2 hours and now we're going to take them off and see how they're doing. Wow, the one that we didn't wrap, it looks really good. Got a nice bit of color on there. So I just want to take it off. We're going to compare them. So we get off the one that we didn't wrap. There we go. This is the one in butcher's paper. And this is the one in aluminum foil. Now let's open them up and take a look inside. Let's see how that aluminum foil is doing. Look at the amount of juice that's in there. Now we'll open up the butcher's paper. Now the first thing that I want to do is measure the core temperature. And dry air, and they're at 66 degrees, 67 degrees Celsius. Now let's take a look at the ribs in the butcher paper. And they're at 90 degrees Celsius. And look at this, the aluminum foil is at 90.7. Normally I would aim for 98 degrees Celsius. So that means that the ones that we wrapped in aluminum foil, they cook much faster than the one in butcher paper, and especially much faster than the one that we didn't wrap. Now the one that we didn't wrap was sitting on top on an elevated position. So it could be that it received a little less radiation heat from the bottom, but at the same time this is a ceramic grill, so we expect, you know, almost the same temperature and the hot air rises, so yeah, it should be not much different. The ribs that we haven't wrapped, we're going to put them straight back on the grill because they need a little while more, and I'm going to put them at the lower position. I will put some sauce on those later. I like to put on a generous amount of barbecue sauce. Now I'm going to use a spatula to help me get this rib back on. First I'm going to put on the one that's wrapped in butcher paper. There we go. And last we're going to put on the one that we wrapped in aluminum foil. I'm going to set it on top for easy access. There we go. And we just want to get it in for a few minutes for that sauce to heat up, because basically it's already fully cooked. Look at how much moisture we captured from these ribs. From the aluminum foil we captured a lot, and from the butcher's paper we captured much less. Whereas from the ribs that we didn't wrap, of course we didn't catch anything. But this basically means that the moisture is kept inside the aluminum foil, is completely sealed. That's probably also the reason why it cooked much faster. It retains its own heat, and using a thick aluminum foil like I did is just going to make that even worse. So what I'm looking for is the stripes of the brush to disappear from the sauce, but what I can see, the sauce is hot and the stripes don't disappear. That means the sauce is basically too thick to let the stripes disappear, but I know the ribs are done, so we're going to take them off. Look at these. These are really beautiful. Now, we can start slicing into these and get a bite. Look at that, look at those juices. I'm just touching it real light. Look at that. It's just crazy. Juices are dripping out. Let's slice off one rib. Oh man. I'm really curious to see how this turned out. Oh, look at that. That's a beautiful thing. Let's bite into it. There we go. This is super tender, super moist. I think it's actually a little bit overcooked. Look at that. I can just, if I use my fingers, I can just break it away from the bone, pull it out, clean off the bone. So that's a little bit overcooked to my personal preference, but these things are super juicy. You can see clearly get that beautiful smoke ring right there. We got a nice bit of flavor from the rub and the sauce. This is super tasty. So let's check on these ribs, see if they're done yet. They're looking good. 97. Perfect. That's what we had last time with the ribs that we had in tin foil. So it's time to take these off. Look at that. Look at how juicy they are. Look at that. So these spend a little bit more time on the grill without being wrapped. And you can see what happened is they got crispy on the bottom. So that what happens when you leave them longer out of the foil. But we're still good, I guess. Let's slice into it. Let's slice a rib out of it. There we go. One. Oh. That definitely overcooked it on the bottom. But look at these ribs. Super juicy as well. Nice coloring. Look at that smoke ring there. Really good. Super juicy. Now I got it right. Look at that. Now it's looking good. Look at how juicy that rib is. It's really tender, so we can just pull that bone straight out. Look at that. Now let's bite into this. Hot. It's really weird because there's almost no difference between this and the aluminum foil ribs. Flavor and texture, I would expect these to be, I don't know, like more of a bark, but they actually don't. It has the same amount of bark texture, except for the bottom, of course, but I'm not calculating that. That's something that happened while leaving them on the grill longer. I have to conclude that compared this to the tin foil, there's no difference. It's absolutely the same. That's really weird because a lot of people talk about it. Of course, they're not beef ribs or brisket. Now the only thing left to do is wait for the rib that we didn't wrap and see how that turned out compared to the ones that we wrapped. We just finished these ribs at 97 degrees Celsius. Finally, 1.5 hours later than the other ribs. But I must say, this one has got a beautiful bark on the outside. You see how crunchy that is? How soft the rest is, but how crunchy that outside bark is? Absolutely beautiful. Let's slice into it and see how it compares to the other ribs. There we go. Look at that, beautiful ribs. And they're still juicy. Looking good, right? Do you see this? They actually got shorter. These ribs they shrunken more in size than the other ribs did. A little bit dry on the top, but got a way better smoke ring on them. And if we press them, they're still juicy. There's a lot of fat in there that rendered out. Now there's only one thing left to do. Bite into it, right? There we go. Look at that, a nice bite. And I think this is still gonna be clean of the bone, if I'm right. Actually, I'm not right. Look at that, almost clean of the bone. These ribs got a lot more chew on them. And I think it's not, we cooked them to the same temperature. And it broke down a lot slower. The ribs, they taste more like pork. You get a lot more meat flavor, but the flavor of the rub and of the sauce is a lot less because the juices from the sauce have disappeared. You know, these are not bad ribs, don't get me wrong, but I'm going for the wrapped ribs. I like it a lot more. You want to give it a try, cameraman? Should I slice one for you? Give it a try. The outside is more crunchy, but it's not as tender as the ones before.
And it lost flavor.
The rub and the sauce are not as strong in flavor as the ones that we wrapped. So these ribs are great. I love them, but if I have to choose, I would rather wrap my ribs. And I have to say that when you're cooking ribs and you're gonna wrap them, there's not much difference between wrapping them in butcher's paper or aluminum foil. We're gonna do this test again on, for say, brisket or beef ribs and see how that bark develops with that butcher paper. And then maybe we'll get a difference. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you give it a big thumbs up if you did. Leave us a comment down below on your experience. You know, what is your experience with butcher paper, with aluminum foil, or like wrapping versus not wrapping? I'd love to know. And I want to say a big thank you to our patrons that support our channel, that help us do what we love to do. And I want to say a big thank you to our YouTube members. Hey, see you guys next time. Until then, keep on grilling and eet smakelijk.